Now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Susan, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh, sitting right next to Gene Collier, and we're going to be talking about the Steelers coming up here shortly. 412-575-2600 is the number. Give us a call, get online, or you can tweet me at Rich Walsh or at Gene Collier. We'll be answering tweets, taking phone calls. But first, I want to get your opinion on the Steelers. I felt like they beat themselves yesterday. I think 4 turnovers, I mean, that's the way I look at it. That was the story for me.
Well, sure. I think this is one of those cases, Richie, where you're just not going to win every week in this league. I mean, they won 6 in a row. That was the first road game they lost. You know, they'd won 15 of the last 17 on the road. They were due to get beat, and they got beat. I mean, yeah, did they beat themselves? Sure, but it's not like there's nobody else out there on the field. I mean, people were making those hits. Somebody hit Xavier Grimble to force that fumble. Not so much James Conner, but you know, they're in defenses that, you know, took advantage of certain situations and, you know, came up with 4 turnovers. It's not like they did nothing. The Broncos did nothing to win, although I thought they were pretty lucky. They're pretty lucky the week before, too. But I'm always amused by the reaction to these Steelers losses. It's almost as if they're just not allowed to lose. It's just not supposed to happen.
Come on, Gene. They're not. They're not supposed to lose.
Not allowed to lose.
I actually picked them to lose 24-20. I was close to the number.
I picked them to win. I thought they would handle the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos are that good. But, you know, you're not going to win every week, much as everyone expects them to. Yeah,
I kind of thought it was one of these games for the Steelers. This is the game that I thought that they would lose in that span right there. And I think out of all of us, Charlie and I both picked the Broncos to win, and everyone else picked the Steelers. I mean, it was a game that they could have won easily. And I think the big turning point in the game, even though, okay, Xavier Grimble fumbles, you know, he could have moved that ball into his left hand, or he tried running over the guy. He even admitted to it. You know, he wanted to run him over. I mean, if he cuts inside, he gets in. If he puts the ball in his left hand, he doesn't fumble it. But I think, for me, the turning point in the game was a James Conner fumble. Kind of like the way I felt the turning point in the Cleveland game was a James Conner fumble. Yeah. I was sitting there. You felt the momentum shift at that point. Steelers were going in for the lead at that point.
Yeah, I ascribe to that theory. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, so for me, you know, I don't think that they were looking ahead at all. I don't think it was a trap game. I just think it was a game full of mistakes. And you see a lot of people asking questions, and I've seen it even in the locker room afterwards, and I've seen it on Twitter all day. Why don't they use James Conner more, and why don't they run the ball more? What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, just as a matter of taste, I prefer that they run the ball more. But you can't argue with 500 and some yards and 35 minutes of possession time. In theory, you run the ball to control the clock. They controlled the clock. So I don't know what the complaint is. You know, would I run more in certain situations? Yes. Would I run James Conner more because, you know, the running game requires a broader commitment, more carries, more repetitions? Yes, I would. But what I would hope to gain is 35 minutes of possession time, which they got anyway.
Yeah, and the only criticism I might have, you know, I don't need them to run the ball. I want to see the ball in Ben's hands. The only criticism I might have is on 1st and goal. There at the end of the game, maybe they should have ran on 1st and goal. But, hey, I'm not a coach. I don't see what's going on. Maybe they thought they had a good look. Yeah. But they ran on 2nd down, and it was stopped, and then you know they're going to pass.
I think one thing that's really become clear about this offense with Randy Fichtner and Ben, and to whatever extent Mike Tomlin, is that they are much more comfortable near the goal line in an empty set where they spread the defense out. They are not comfortable telegraphing a run with, like, say, multiple tight ends or an unbalanced line or Roosevelt Knicks. They just don't want to do that. They feel like they're telegraphing that play, and they'd rather give the defense more to think about, even though to some people, me included, and maybe you and maybe most of Pittsburgh, it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing.